Hello everybody, it's Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life. Welcome to Off the Board. Today I am scrap lifting this beautiful layout from Moira that she created for a 30 Days of Sketches from round 5. And I loved how her layout had turned out. I put it in my saved into my scrap lift pile, and I just recently saw Megan do the exact same thing. She scrap lifted Moira's layout as well. And so I was like, this is going to be perfect. And when I look at it, now her layout is not Christmas themed. It is of some, I think her salad, or I think it's talking about her garden. And it's beautiful. It's perfect and fresh and all of that. But when I look at it, if you just have a quick glance and you don't actually go deep into the layout, you can get a bit of a Christmas vibe to it. And so I'm going to go ahead and play with that and create my own layout, of course, Christmas themed, because it's Tuesday. And on Tuesdays, I'm working with Christmas in July. So I go ahead and start with this stencil. I loved how she had a random stenciling or misting or whatever exactly it is kind of throughout her layout. And I am just going to go ahead and mimic that with this fun stencil. It looks like little sparkles. It is beautiful. And I'm using some Vicki Boutin Rose Gold. However, I was being impatient and I put too much on, so it's quite messy and it leaked through the stencil. I'm okay with that. My point really wasn't to have it perfect as much as just to have a pop of color, which is what it gives it. There is going to be lots on top of it, so that part's not a big deal. So I'm going to start with that. Really happy with that. I let that dry. And then I go ahead and I'm going to stitch and stitch and stitch. And I stitch in sequence as well. And this is how that ended up looking out. Now, I'm sorry it all skipped out. I thought I had shown you kind of the idea I had with it. However, that part got cut out for whatever reason in my editing. So that is what I ended up doing though. And I love it. I even traced my own hearts. I think you saw that part. So I love it. They're wonky hearts. They're not perfect. When I go to draw hearts, you can see that there is always the very bottom left-hand side goes way farther out than the rest of them. I don't know why that is, but that is apparently how I do stars. And I actually think that I rotated this. So when I go to do stars, it actually is like that. But that big long point is actually up at the top right-hand corner when I'm actually doing tracing stars. But you can tell it's me because they both look like that. And it's just how I do stars. So I've got that down. I put a couple layers of pattern paper underneath my two photos. And then I decided it needed some more stars in some way. And I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to go about that. There were different things I could do. I have a little container full of stars. I could have gone in there, tried to play around with that, see what I could have done. However, none of them really were Christmas themed. And so I wasn't exactly sure how to go about that. However, I have recently gotten a bunch of my Creative Cuts club kits that Christina has been stockpiling for me. And this one came in, I think it was December kit. I think it was the December kit, if I'm correct. And I thought it just worked perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead. I cut it in half. It had this kind of natural line in the cut file where it could be split without telling that you split it. And then even from there, you saw that I cut the rest of it out. And all I do is I just simply back the cut files that I wanted. There's a couple pieces that I wanted the whole pattern paper to do, and all I do for that too is I just use my tape and I tape the white part of the star. You're gonna see me do that right there, and I just simply put whatever pattern paper I wanted on there, and then I cut around it. It's super simple. It's easy. You're gonna have a perfect star because you're literally cutting out the star that's already there, and I just love how that turned out. And of course, I wanted one more type of something. So the last thing I'm going to do with one of these stars is I'm going to take some more of that rose gold from the Vicki Boutin paint. And I am just going to go ahead and take one of those stars, the one up in that corner there, and I'm just going to paint it. And I'm going to make it the same color. And I love how that turned out as well. It gives it a nice little shine. And then when it dries, it is so gorgeous. If you just use this rose gold stuff as just paint, it is just absolutely beautiful. It's got this coppery type of look to it. and I love it. So I do that. You can see that I also did my little notch in the paper in 3 little places and added a little bit of pattern paper beneath that as well. So really I've kind of distressed this layout and just made it wonky and work for me, because it's not that it's a nothing story. It's a super cute story, but it's not that important. Really, the story is just talking about Barrett. We had this gigantic, I mean, it was the size of him, stuffed Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer last year, and I don't think that we kept it, if I remember correctly, when we moved. I don't think we knew how to move him, so he got donated. But we had him, and he would sing Rudolph, and Barrett loved it. He didn't quite really know how to turn it on, which was fine by me because he wanted to play it all the time. So Nora would put it on for him. And then we also had this other one, which you'll see, I'm sure I'll scrapbook this too. There's another one that it was Rudolph as well, but this one has wheels on it and it moves across the floor. And so they would play both of them at the same time and everybody would laugh and dance, and it was just so funny. And that is what my kids were obsessed with during last Christmas. It was really fun. So I definitely wanted to get that documented. I had gotten these cute photos of Barrett sitting next to it, so that is why he's the only one being pictured with it. He was the one that really loved it too. He would go and sit and play with it and try and make it sing all the time. So love the story. I wanted to keep it kind of fun, still have a Christmas vibe to it, because it only comes out at Christmas. Obviously, it's Rudolph. And so I feel like this all worked really well. And Moira's original layout just works so well with the design and how I wanted this layout to feel. So I love it all. It all worked perfectly and harmoniously. So I love that. I get some stash used up on this too. I'm adding some random little stars that I have in my Christmas stash. I used up my last 3 little gold stars from Allie Edwards, and I also use up my last little bit of wood veneer stars there, and I add, of course, a little wood veneer Christmas tree. Love that. And that little deer, you see that little deer there? That is from Making Homes something, and I definitely got that added a little red nose to it so you know it's Rudolph, and I just love this layout. So please make sure you head on over and check out everyone else today for Off the Board. Like I said, Megan has used this layout this week too, so check that out. And I'll see everybody on Thursday. Bye!